You are listening to the Gospel-Centered Education Podcast, brought to you by Community Christian School in Tallahassee, Florida.
Hello, and welcome to the Gospel-Centered Education Podcast. My name is Tom Argersinger, and I'm your host for today. And my co-host is Kelly Allen. Hey, Kelly.
Hey, Tom. On the Gospel-Centered Education Podcast, we explore how we as Jesus followers can connect the dots between education, contemporary culture, and biblical theology, and live like Jesus in a broken and challenging world. And today is our season 1 finale.
Woo, season 1.
Yes, and I can't imagine what better guests to have than CCS LeTour with us today. We have Miss Hillary Underwood and Miss Madelyn Brannon. Thank you guys for coming on today.
Thank you.
Yes, let me tell our listeners a little bit about you guys. Hillary, you graduated magna cum laude from Armstrong Atlantic State University in Savannah, Georgia. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. And you have a bachelor's degree in theater. Mm-hmm. Okay. And you've been involved in arts since you were 4.
Yep. Couldn't help it. My dad was highly involved in arts.
Wait.
That's what I grew up in.
I have to know this. What was your first part?
Oh, do you know this?
Blues Brothers? Do you know the
Yes,
Blues Brothers?
yes, I do.
I rollerbladed across the stage.
That's awesome.
I was
I love
amazing.
it.
I stole the show, clearly.
Oh, clearly. Wait, you were 4?
After that, you were
California,
hooked.
because you learn to rollerblade and skateboard in California when you're like a baby.
That's awesome.
What a
across
great
the
anecdote.
stage.
And
Sorry,
good
I
enough
just
to do
had
it across the stage. I mean, that's impressive for
I'm
sure.
sorry, I had to ask.
Yes. Okay, but you've also been working at CCS for 11 years.
Yes.
And you've been the creative arts director for almost 4 years. Awesome.
It's been a ride. I loved every bit of it.
And today you're here to talk about LeTour, but let me introduce Madelyn. Madelyn, you are CCS alumni. You're newly graduated.
That's weird, yeah.
Yes, isn't that weird? You have shifted into TCC, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah, and you have been a part of the arts program since 6th grade or before?
4th grade.
Yeah, kind of, you could say.
Yeah.
Long time.
A long time, yeah.
Yeah. So once you got a taste of it, you just wanted to stay in it, and that was awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Well, welcome. You plan on continuing in the arts?
Possibly on the side. I'm not quite sure yet, but I love the arts, so.
That's wonderful. Wonderful. Well, I'm so excited to have you guys on today. And we do want to talk about LeTour. So for those who don't know what LeTour is, can you tell us, how would you describe it?
Oh, let's sum it up in a nutshell. LeTour is a performing arts ensemble, and we are all the arts in one, and we bring it to the stage and perform. If you can think of it as an art form, we will do it. We have done it. We target non-Christians, and our goal is to go out into the community, and our slogan, if you will, is...
starting conversations about Christ.
That's right. So we really challenge our students to go into the community, show them what we've worked on. They pick a theme every semester. It's student-led. We work on it, and then they speak about their pieces to people in the community, and they always try to target it into a conversation about Christ.
That's really great. That's really great. And recently, you guys have... Well, how did you get the name LeTour, by the way? Let me just... it might have something to do with you, but I'm not sure. I don't know this.
It does. I mean, do you want to handle that, or should I?
Well, from what I recall, because this is our 10-year anniversary, actually. This fall, 2024, has been exactly 10 years. So to release this album, it's released now, so in the fall of 2024, it's just wonderful. But 10 years ago, in the fall,
Many moons,
right? With our first batch of LeTour members, we had a brainstorming session, and that was our first brainstorming session, and we do it every semester now. The kids love the brainstorming session. And we came up with a bunch of ideas, and LeTour is just one that stuck. It's French for the journey.
Oh, okay, that's good.
And we love that. And then we had our students design the first logo, and then the second. And now we're on to our third. We have our third upgraded logo, and it's all student designed. And I mean, do you have more to put into that?
I just that's all true. I just remember,
That's all true.
not that I thought it wasn't. What I realized, what was hard, because like when you Google LeTour, it comes up Tour de France.
Yeah.
And so that we kind of had to work through. So we're going to work through that. But I don't know. I feel like it's aged well. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Maddie, what do you think as a student?
I think it's really cool. It's like a unique name.
Yeah.
It makes it stand apart from other things. I like it a lot.
Well, good.
Yeah.
So we done good. Right here.
Yeah.
Come on.
It
Right
does,
here. Hey,
right.
here we
I
go.
think it does stand apart because you really don't
Yeah.
hear that term.
No, and it makes you want to say, I'm sorry, what is that?
Yeah.
It's a performing arts ensemble. Just come and see. Our show's this time at this place and this location. See you there.
Yeah.
It's free.
That's really good. That's really good. Okay, so this past spring, am I correct that you guys created an album? And I want you to tell us a little bit about that, like the process behind that, and what exactly it is. I think it's, well, I'll say more after you tell us what you did this spring.
Let me go first.
Sure. Yeah.
So this spring we had a songwriting seminar that was actually taught by Mr. Barry Kay, and he taught this at UCLA for 15 years. He took that exact course and brought it to LeTour. So we always strive for excellence, and we didn't stop with that. We taught a college level course to our high school students. We didn't have any middle schoolers this spring. We sometimes do, but it was all high school. It was a 12-week process. Mr. K taught them, and it started from scratch, and they created over 20 pieces from scratch. They did work in groups, and our album is called Co-Create because they worked together and they co-created with each other and with the directors, of course, but also above all with God. You know, we co-create. He created us, and He gave us the ability to create art. He created art and the strong drive of art within us. And so we loved that theme that we all brainstormed and picked out, and they co-created and produced 20 original songs, and 9 of them are on the album.
That's amazing. So how many did you have, Matt? Did you have 1 or 2? How many did you have?
I had 1 on the album,
Yep.
and then I did 2 for the show.
Okay, perfect. That's great.
She had more for the show. We had to
Yeah.
cut it down.
Yeah, cut it somewhere, right? Well, we'll talk
Yeah.
more about the details, but yeah.
I can't imagine like having that opportunity at your age to go into a studio, having someone help you come up with the funds, you know, funding,
Yeah.
picking the studio, working through all that. You said that all of your students but one have never been in a studio before.
Yeah, only one of them had been in a studio, and this is a professional local studio, and only one had been, so it was an experience.
Yeah.
So what was it, I have to ask you, Maddie, what was your favorite moment, or what was the coolest thing that you personally experienced being in the studio and recording?
I think it was just really cool to do the whole thing and sing my song and then go back and listen to it and watch all the things that they have to do is way more work than I expected. They do a lot.
So was it weird? I remember the first time I ever heard my own voice on recording. Was it really weird the first time?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, was that me? Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
And so did you do any voiceover layering of harmonies and stuff?
Yeah,
that's a pretty
that
cool
was
process,
cool.
isn't it?
She also played the ukulele.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you're a uke player. I love that.
Yeah.
That's so good.
So she got to do the vocal and instrumental side of it.
Yeah, that's really good. Good.
Yeah, you are so talented, and all the kids just did a wonderful, wonderful job. So, you know, I would recommend anybody look at it. It's on Spotify, right?
Yeah, it's on all mass streaming platforms.
And it's called Co-Create.
Yeah, look up Co-Create.
Okay.
And it's not with a hyphen, so it's easier for you to look up. And it's on Spotify, what else? Apple Music, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio. I mean, you think of it, it's on there. It went out to all of them. And we're so excited.
I had the pleasure of listening to the album, and I think for people that when they hear of a student-produced situation or project, they go, "Oh, that's really neat. Yeah, that's really sweet. Yeah, I'm so glad you guys had the opportunity to do that." And then they don't really ever want to listen to it.
Exactly.
I really think that's really a bad play in this case, because I really think that what you guys did really was really great work. I mean, I really do. I think there are some really, really good songs on there. And there's a lot of interesting production as well. So I think it was a really well done project. So for anybody out there who's saying, hey, just do it.
Yeah,
Just go get it, pick it up, look at it, and you'll love it.
You can listen to it for free on Spotify.
Yeah, there you go. Exactly right.
It's so good.
That's good.
Yeah, it's really interesting what you guys created.
So I think, one of the things when I think about that, I think about, and you touched on this earlier, Hillary, about how this album is I think, a great example of the kind of work just in general, whether it's in this case it was kind of focused on vocal instrumental music, but it can be dance, it can be theater, it can be visual art,
Spoken word.
poetry, spoken
Right.
word, whatever. And so this is a really good example of trying to apply biblical worldview, and I'd like to talk about that a little bit more. So when we think about applying, so how would you guys talk about how LeTour looks at not just the creation of their own stuff, which we could talk about that, but also just looking at other pieces? Is that something, Maddie, you could maybe think about with me a little bit?
Yeah.
What does that feel like to you?
Yeah, so I guess with other pieces, because this was our first like focused on original semester, and like I've done some in the past, but a lot of times we take secular songs mostly, and then sometimes also Christian songs, mix it in there. But we like to like go deeper into the lyrics. We find secular songs, and then we see how like we can like interpret that and like point it back to God in a way, like look for a deeper meaning than maybe it was intended, and then use that and hopefully like connect with people who are used to hearing not Christian solely, like, but also other things, and then hopefully connect through that.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, when they first hear that LeTour or any Christian school organization does do non-Christian things, it throws people off,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah.
Hilaria, you could talk about that a little bit. What is that process like?
Well, like she said, when we go in the community, it's received well, because we want to embed ourselves in the community and open that door gently so that we can have that conversation. We want to connect with them. So that's great. But when we do it here on our home base, or we do it also we've done it at retirement homes, we've done it at local churches, when we do it in those locations, we still bring our set. We do adapt for each venue, right? But we have our secular pieces. And sometimes it is received with a little confusion, because you're a Christian school. Why is this not all just worshiping the Lord? We're worshiping the Lord within the secular music. And if it's something that challenges our students to take that extra step, like Maddie said, and dive into those lyrics, I'm always stopping the kids. All of us directors are. They come up to us and say, I want to do the song. It's like, well, have you looked at the lyrics? Have you prayed about those? Are you struggling with one of these lyrics? Well, then we probably shouldn't do it. Oh, we are doing it? Okay. Well, let's think, how do you see God within that? How can you apply that to the theme, to what you're going through? How do you connect personally with that? And that's that extra behind the scenes stuff people don't see when they go to the show.
Yeah, there's a lot, and that's, I think, one of the neat things about working with LeTour is just that fact that there is so much more that goes on. Just like listening to an album, you don't know how hard it was for the artist to have to go through the process of making that album, and how long it took, how expensive it was, and everything. And the same thing is true of this kind of thing. You don't realize how much behind the scenes work goes into choosing the right song. And just to be clear for anybody who's confused on this, it's not like this group chooses profanity and all of that kind of stuff. So that's not really a part of it. But really it's the worldview of the lyric, right? Often the common thing in music is, human love is the most important thing. And if you lose human love, your life is lost, that, generally speaking. So those kind of like tropes, cultural ideologies and things, we can look at that and we may do the song, but like you said, Maddie, maybe there is another angle we can take on it. Or maybe we just simply, I keep saying we, the group just lets it sit there and we go, okay, and then there's a response of some sort. Maybe there's another act that follows, or a piece, or a Bible verse or scripture that basically responds to that. And so it's okay to just leave the question open for a minute. And I think that's a lot of people aren't used to that, right?
Oh, right.
So from a parental standpoint, does that make you uncomfortable?
Oh,
when that happens?
for sure.
Okay.
Yes, like when you are 100% correct. When you come to this school and you see LeTour show, it's a little uncomfortable. You're like, why did we go there? But to know, you're really challenging the students to think through, these lyrics and how they apply to their relationship with Christ, and then taking into the community, and how it's received from the community, and you're going out and having those conversations. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can't keep them in a bubble. We got to
Exactly.
prepare them.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then it's like Abraham Kuyper, who's a famous theologian, said, he said a lot of things, but he said the famous phrase we've talked about in this podcast before, that, Christ really is exercising his lordship over all of creation. And then another phrase comes to mind from a different philosopher, theologian, that said, all truth is God's truth, no matter where you find it. So you can listen to a Beyonce song and hear truth in the sense of she's expressing real feelings that are universal feelings of loss and lament and all those kind of things. It may or may not be directed in the direction we might like it to be from a Christian standpoint, but it's nevertheless genuine and real, and therefore has a place, I think. It could have a place in that, what essentially becomes, I think, a dialogue, or the philosophical term is dialectic. There's a dialogue happening between, in that moment, Jesus, I think, and the biblical viewpoints with the way the world is approaching whatever that is they're talking about. So I have to bring this up. We're not going to go into a lot of detail, but in the news right now is this whole thing about the opening of the Paris Olympics. And a lot of the controversy that arose around some of the choices of the man who was the director, which, by the way, and again, this is one of those things, like, we can criticize part of that, but let's just stop for a second and realize how hard it would be to direct something that 1 billion people see and has as many moving parts as that did.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's some amazing work was done in that whole thing. And we won't get into the details of that just for the sake of time, but it's a good illustration of response, and it gets back to that word we were talking about. You can, if somebody saw something in that opening ceremony that was very offensive to them as a believer, let's say, one response is you simply turn it off. That is a response. It may be the appropriate response, it may be a conscience thing, and that's fine. But maybe a better response than that, or at least another response to that, would be, well, what was the worst thing about that? Was it certain images that were shown, or the way they did certain things? Or was it really the ideology behind the whole thing? Like, for example, one of the things in that ceremony was it pointed up what was really, really important. What is really, really important is complete human freedom. Well, but no. That doesn't end well when there's complete human freedom. So there's that. But even better, and I've said this to a group today when we were talking about this, I love the fact that kind of happened, because it is a great example. So I want people like Maddie to go out and be that director and do it better. To do it really, really well, the way he did it, which was really, really professionally well done. But then to bring a different worldview to that, that says, well, as we approach that, it may not be overtly Christian, but it's not going to be anti either, and it's not going to be problematic necessarily, because I have a different way of seeing the world, if that makes sense.
And LeTour is facilitating that.
Yeah, I think that's really true, I think.
We're challenging them to grow. We have high expectations, and they meet it. And so when they go out into the world, like we said before, they will have a seat at that table because of they were pushed in the arts, and they have that worldview that needs to be, that the world is craving, needs to be.
So Maddie, what is that like? I mean, we're talking about you as if you're not here, but you're a representative of graduates right now. So how does that feel to you, just emotionally and intellectually, whichever way you want to talk about it, as you go out?
I think it's really important having the biblical worldview and this perspective, going out and using, like, this is like the gift God's given me, and I want to steward it well. And I know that people are desperate for Jesus even if they don't know it. Like, if I can use what God's given me to reach somebody, and, like, because, like, you were saying, that guy, the director, has a lot of influence. Like, he was overall, but it was just a different perspective that he had and intention. And to be able to grow in your craft and skill, and then go out and have influence, but with the different perspective and intention behind it, is more powerful. and I think it's good. I don't know if that made sense.
That makes perfect sense.
Yes,
I
it
couldn't have
does.
said it any better than that.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
Yeah.
Really well done. Yeah, that was a great summary of why we do what we do. Just yesterday we were filming testimonials of various parents and alumni, and the thing that kept coming up was really what you were saying, Maddie, is the sense of what we hope happens, and it apparently does happen. We get testimonies that it does, is that we have people like you and many others going out and into the world. And I love what you said about, really developing your skill and your craft. Because we're all called to speak about Jesus and to be Jesus to people in a loving sense and a kind sense and if some people use the term faithful presence. And that's fundamental, right? You got to be with people, share their hard times, and laugh with them, cry with them, all that kind of stuff. But then it's also important to do what you said, which is if you're going to be a writer, you may not write Christian fiction, but you're going to be an awesome writer because you realize you work hard at that craft and you make it your own. And same thing with musicians or whatever it is, scientists, whatever it is, tech person, whatever it is. And I think that's one of the things that makes our school pretty unique. Not every school sees it quite that way. I don't know, but I think so. So as a parent, what does that mean to you, Kelly, when you think about your kids? Because you have a student going into the high school, right? Yeah.
Yep.
So how does that feel to you? I just want to be curious. You're seeing somebody at the other end of it.
I know, I'm so excited. I love what you said, and I have it written down here. It says we must advance and take back ground from the enemy in the arts. LeTour's primary audience target is non-Christian, and this drives our repertoire selections and performance venues.
Yes.
I really like how you said we have to take back ground. And so I'm really excited that my daughter is involved with you, so that she can learn all those things and just think it through.
Yeah.
Think about what those words mean.
Yeah.
Have those conversations. Don't shy away from it. Don't just turn it off.
Right.
I think at a certain age, like my younger ones, they can just turn it off.
Exactly.
But as they get
Sure,
older,
you have to use discernment.
yes, and they're able to think it through. I just love what you said, and love the outcome of what LeTour and CCS Arts has been to you.
Yeah.
So with Hannah, right?
Yeah.
So Hannah's going into the 9th grade.
That's crazy.
And so what would you say, Maddie, to Hannah? Is she in the arts?
Yeah, well, she's in theater.
Okay. So what would you say to Hannah then, as kind of a message to Hannah or people like Hannah entering high school at CCS, and maybe Hannah will be in LeTour? Who knows?
I'd say, so it sounds like she's passionate about theater, and that is awesome. That's a gift that God's given her, and that's a passion. Don't stray away from that. I'd say work hard, keep growing in that, and recognize that it's a gift from God, and that if you work hard in that and grow in that, like, He can use anything.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if that
For sure.
encourage her to keep
Thank you so
going.
That's a beautiful word. Well done. So we want to make sure we cover all the territory. So, anything else you guys want to say about the album or about LeTour in general? You have auditions coming up in August, right? Tell us a little bit about that.
So LeTour auditions are the last Monday and Tuesday in August. Oh goodness, I want to say 26th, 27th off the top of my head. And it's from 3 to 5 in our CCS auditorium. And we welcome middle and high school students to come. And if you go to myccs.org and go to Student Life under Creative Arts, you can find LeTour. And it gives you more details about what specific area you're auditioning and how you can come prepared for that. We would love to see you there. If this is something you feel like you really want to be a part of, come join us. We'd love to have you at auditions. And as for the album, like we said, it's out, it's released. Co-create. It's actually, the album is designed by one of our students who's a rising 10th grader, Sydney Inman. She's one of our visual arts students. She designed the album cover, so when you see it, you'll realize that. And all of it is original, produced by Mr. Barry Kay, and it's just a wonderful album. If you have the time, I strongly recommend it, and I recommend listening to this one song. Go ahead and tell them the name of it.
It's One Step at a Time.
One step at a time.
Yeah.
Really catchy tune, and it actually has a great meaning to the lyric too. So it's not just catchy. It's really, really good. Yeah. So I got to drop a plug. So we're dropping plugs, right?
Dropping plugs.
One more plug. This plug is for the new King's Crossing space across the street. And for those who aren't aware of that whole thing, we hope it's going to do a lot of things. It's going to host the senior class next year in this new program called Ascend, ASCEND, and it basically is compressing their course load into the morning. So by the time they get to around noon, they'll be able to go off and do more apprenticeships, more community engagement, that kind of thing. So it's a rearrangement of the schedule. It's also a non-traditional classroom space. It won't look like a classroom at all, really, except it'll have tables, but they'll be the long college kind. You have to come see it. Former Maple Street Bakery space, Biscuit Place. People ask this, we will not sell biscuits. I just want to confirm.
Right?
That's a rumor that is not true. We are not, but we should.
But coffee, right?
We are figuring out ways to do refreshments, but we cannot do biscuits. I'm so sorry to everybody, because we probably could have raised a lot of money with the biscuits. No. So hopefully maybe, we're also going to have an event series, so hopefully LeTour will be able to do some events, because it's kind of like a more black boxy, kind of smaller venue. It's about 3,700 square feet, but you could host maybe 50, 75, something like that. So it'll be a cool space for that.
I agree.
So hopefully we can do that along with a lot of other things.
Like a coffee house setup.
Yeah, it's kind of, because I was saved. Did you know this? I was saved in the whole Jesus Revolution coffee house thing.
No.
Yeah. I was saved in the East Coast version of that.
Interesting.
It took a while to get from California,
the West Coast,
all the way over to the East Coast. But no, I vividly remember going to coffee houses with the whole beatnik thing. I will not comment on what my facial hair was like. So I'm going to just leave that part out. But other than that, it was like literally kind of like they say it was.
Yeah.
But I mean, there was a lot of weird stuff in a way, but there was also a lot of genuine Orthodox Christianity.
Yeah.
And a lot of people who were really seeking,
led you to Christ. Because they went into unconventional spaces.
Yeah, that's right.
Exactly.
And had this conversation.
Yeah. And I had one friend who was a really good musician, and he ended up sharing the gospel with me, blah, blah, blah. So it was really, really amazing. And so anyway, we hope that one of the many things that King's Crossing does is provide a venue where, Jesus can continue to, we can start those conversations, we can continue to have biblical worldview conversations, and all this kind of thing. So anyway, a lot of really cool stuff coming on. And so, Kelly, you probably should tell us that we're not going to be around next. We're not going to be around
for a month.
For a month.
Yes.
Next August. This coming August. Yeah.
Right, and then we'll be back in September.
Yeah, relaunch in the second season.
Yeah.
That's going to be so fun.
Yeah.
Got some great guests.
We don't know where our set will be. Maybe it'll be this. We don't know.
It may be. Write in the comments. If you like the couches. We'll steal it from the theater department.
Here's another plug. We're doing Wizard of Oz, the musical, in the fall. So if you have it here, you can be in the midst of Oz. There you go.
I think we always
Yellow
are,
Brick Road. Follow the Yellow Brick Road to the season 2, episode 1. You're welcome.
That is so funny. Oh my goodness. So anyway, so thank you so much for coming, you guys. It's been a blast. It really has been so much fun. Look forward to seeing all the LeTour shows this year. Look forward to having more people listen to the album. Yes. So, and we look forward to being back in a little while. Yeah. Right. So just a little bit of a month here. So we're going back to weekly podcasts in September when we relaunch for season 2. Very good. Well, as we always say at the end, we thank you guys so much for joining us today. And if you forget everything else we say, remember that Jesus is Lord. Take care. See you later.
Bye-bye.
Senior years coming to an end. The start of something new will begin, and everything is changing. I feel excited and I feel afraid, unsure of what the future will bring, but I trust that you'll lead me. And though I'm sad, I'm happy too. The best is yet to come. I know you'll guide me through. So I'm taking it one step at a time, reflecting on all the years that have gone by. Won't let it hold me back, won't let it make me cry. I know I'll be alright. Yeah, I'm taking it one step at a time. The future's near, can't wait to see what it'll be like. Letting go of this chapter in my life, turning the page, taking it one step
Thank you for listening to the Gospel Centered Education Podcast, brought to you by Community Christian School in Tallahassee, Florida. You can find us online at myccs.org.